This is Sawyer Robertson, and you're listening to the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.
Welcome into the Bearcast on SicEm365.com, presented by WellMed Medical Management and Barefoot Campus Outfitter. Head on over to Barefoot Campus Outfitter in Waco, or go to the website and use SicEm365 as your code to save 20% off your purchase. I'm your host, Grayson Grundhoefer, and today I'm here with Ashley Hodge as we go through a men's basketball preview. The season is right around the corner, and it's kind of a nice refresher after what has been a pretty tough football season. Ashley, I know you got to see the team recently in Indiana. We also all got to see them at the World University Games, so there's a lot of familiarity now, even with this brand new roster. What did you think about that experience in Indiana, just getting to see this team in person? I know you got to see them also when you were at the World University Games, but getting to see them now, how much they've improved. Was it nice?
Yeah, well, when you have Tunde Yesufu and Michael Ratai added to the roster, that helps a lot for sure. And we also got to see them against Grand Canyon. They had an exhibition game against Grand Canyon as well. So I think we have a pretty good idea of what this team might look like from a strength and weaknesses standpoint. They've played some good competition, including what they played at the World University Games. I'm really impressed with the communication, the chemistry. That's important because these are all new guys. So I think I think having that experience of playing in Germany really helped to speed that along, the extra practices and the time to bond with their teammates. I think this is going to be a really good rebounding team. I know we have a small sample size, but they just dominated the glass against Indiana. The effort was there. I know the defensive rebounding is a huge focus. I think Ron Sanchez, Virginia, and Washington State teams were top 25 in defensive rebounding more often than they were not. So I think that's never been a strength of Baylor's. And I think that's been really emphasized in practice. So that's a goal. They want to be top 25 defensive rebounding team. And if they are, then I think they'll be a top 25 defensive team, which is a really big achievement, because Baylor's rarely gotten to that level. I think even their national championship team was like 22nd in defensive efficiency. So I think
would have been higher without the pause, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next year, I think they were top 10.
Yeah.
That 22 team. So it's been a while since they've had outstanding defenses, and certainly the last few years have not been good. So I'm encouraged by what I see. I think it's a gritty team. I think the wings are the strength. We can talk about that. And I really liked what happened in that Indiana exhibition because I think it exposed, what's going to be an issue, turnovers. They've got to take care of the basketball. It led to too many easy buckets. They were aggressive. They probably fouled a little too much, put Indiana on the free throw line 21 times. Baylor's free throw defense was awful in that game. Indiana made 20 of 21 free throws. Sure. So you're not going to get that very often, but you're fouling the wrong guys. You're fouling good shooters, obviously. Anyway, those are some things, but I love that they were down 9 late and they came back, took the lead, had really good opportunities to win that game. Tunde Yesufu made a big 3 to put them up, and then came down and took an absolutely terrible 3 the next possession, airballed it. And, and then Michael Ratai missed the front end of a 2-shot foul situation. And then Cam Carr had a shot to win it at the buzzer and just a little off balance, was a decent look, but, and it's something he can make, but, certainly you would hope to get a better shot in that situation as well. But those were all teachable moments. I think the crowd, was very pro Indiana. Mm-hmm. And it was a factor, and really gave Indiana a lift. So you got like a feel of what a true road environment is going to be like. So those are all things I think that will prepare them for these games coming up. Vegas and certainly Washington is a big test. You would hope that they would take care of business in those other games. But I'm excited for the season to start. I think this is going to be a fun team to root for.
Yeah, it really will be. And we're going to talk a little bit about the schedule, a little bit about the Big 12. But I did want to bring up just a few things, just kind of watching them really through the course of all offseason. We got to see them so much that you kind of come away with some things that you feel about this team. And so I wrote down kind of my top concerns. And I think the big ones for me are the turnovers, because they don't really have a true point guard, and their true point guard isn't really much of a shooter in Isaac Williams. And I still don't even know if he's a true point guard yet. I think he will be, but there's still some areas that he needs to grow at. And then Obi is just such a good scorer, but not quite the facilitator. And so trying to figure that out, I think, has been a little difficult. And then also, because of that, your wings are having to dribble the ball a lot and having to make a lot of decisions. And I think that's where you're seeing, even in this game, multiple, I think the wings combined for like 10 turnovers in this game because, they're not really true just ball handlers. And so that's been a concern for me. It was a concern at the World University games, continues to be, because they don't have that true floor general. Another area is rim protection, and that's just without Bodo, they don't have that. Now they're active, they're long, and they can keep you from getting into the paint. Yeah. Theoretically, they didn't really do that at a great level against Indiana. Probably gave up a little too many backdoor cuts, a little too much dribble drive. That needs to get better. But I did feel like their length was a problem for Indiana, but it would be an even bigger problem if they actually had someone behind them that could protect the rim. And they just don't have that. And then the other thing that I wrote down is shooting. And the biggest reason why shooting is so big for me is because if Obi Agbum and JJ White aren't on the floor, it's like, man, they really don't have a knockdown shooter. And even JJ, streaky at times. I think Obi's going to be a legit great shooter. But if he's not shooting the ball well, it's like, well, okay, you got to bring Isaac Williams in. And then you have no shooting from the 3-point line. And so, it's just those three things have really stood out to me and are something that's probably going to hold this team back from being a national title contender. They can still be really good, but I think those three areas are three flaws that I don't know how they fix without, getting Bodo back, or without, a guy really stepping up as a true point guard.
Yeah. I mean, those are legitimate concerns for sure. I think that you're forgetting about our shot blocker, Cam Carr. He's
a great shot blocker.
He really is pretty good from the wing, and he may lead the team in block shots.
How it is in college basketball, though. It's like if you have just a huge body standing in the middle of the paint, it's like, where are you supposed to go? There's just nowhere to go. And so that Carr is a great rim protector in on-ball defense, and he's jumping for everything. Like he wants to block everything. He can definitely do that, but it's still lacking. You know what I mean? Just that huge body protecting the rim that's athletic, and that's what Bodo is supposed to be, and we haven't seen him yet.
I think Caden Powell can give you some of that. I think he's an elite communicator on defense. I really think he's undervalued on the defensive end. Not the greatest athlete. Ratai, same thing. But those guys are really good positional defenders for the most part. Now Caden got lost on a ball screen or two against Indiana, got backdoored or blown by. I think, and I don't know if it was his fault. I'd have to go back and watch the video to really discern whose fault it was. But I think your points are valid. Ball handling has to be steady. The good thing is, we know it's a glaring weakness. We've seen it against Brazil. We saw it against Indiana. So they're going to be working on that in practice. These guys know this, that's important. Can't have turnovers off of, just fumbling the ball, which Isaac Williams did, Cam Carr did, Ratai did. Obi was a little loose with it. I think those will get cleaned up. I don't know if this is a team that's going to be, top 10 or top 15 taking care of the basketball. Maybe not even top 10 in the Big 12, but they can manage around those weaknesses by being great in other areas. Obi's got to score consistently. He did in Germany. That was encouraging. He has not looked great in the exhibition games, and that is worrisome because we saw last year. I remember looking at the box scores and what Jeremy Roach did. I think it was against A&M and Grand Canyon, and you're just like, whoa, this is not who we thought we were getting, and then that tended to be a trend all season long. Now, Obi, fortunately, most valuable player of the World University games, and he played really well against Brazil in that final until the end. So I am encouraged by that because those are Big 12 quality athletes. I think Brazil put out there. So we'll see. It's you would have liked to see like better production from him in both those exhibition games. They had him on the bench at the end of the Indiana game. They're playing Isaac Williams at the end. Ratai and Obi got to be good. I think Skillings, Tunde, and Carr are going to give us enough scoring from the wings. If we can be top 25 in defense, and I don't think this is going to be one of Scott Drew's better offensive teams, but if we can be hovering around that top 25 offensive level because of the offensive rebounding, I think we'll be really good in that area. And and I think those three wings are going to be consistent all year. So we'll see. I mean, I'm more worried about the offense than the defense, to be honest. I don't know where the scoring is going to come from consistently if Obi's not good.
Yeah, I think that was. I mean, I feel like that became pretty clear even when they played in the World University games. I mean, they went through droughts. You know what I mean? It was just kind of inconsistent, and so that's something that I'm definitely monitoring. I know I was a big proponent of Dan Skillings, and man, he stepped up and hit a huge three in the Indiana game as well. So he played so good in the World University games, and I think the thing that we maybe everyone
in those exhibition games. Yeah, well, I mean, he really wasn't great in that Indiana game till the end. Mm-hmm. He was great at the end.
And he did that at the World University games where it's like late in the games, he just had a knack for making some really big plays and key crucial plays. I think it's just the motor. He just has a relentless motor that keeps him pretty engaged the entire game. He's been very, very good. Cam Carr, I think, really put kind of everyone on notice with this game, just kind of like, oh man, he can get to spots a lot differently than I think everyone thought. And then obviously he's a great athlete. You've mentioned it a million times, just seeing him in practice, and you can see it, the acceleration, the length, the jumping ability. I mean, his dunk that he had on the fast break, I mean, that thing literally almost went straight to the ground. I mean, he can really, really jump. So fantastic stuff there, but you're exactly right. I mean, Obi and Ratai are the two guys that, like, I think that Carr and Skillings are going to give you, maybe they're not going to give you like 20 points a night or anything, but I think you feel pretty good that they're going to give you a lot of effort, rebound, and score some. Yeah, it's the other two.
I think those three, Skillings, maybe more of a question mark, but I think Carr and Tunde are going to average double figures. No question about it.
I think Skillings is, man. I mean, he's done it. He's done it. He does it. He basically every night he's scoring in that 15 range. I bet he gets to that too. Now, if Ratai and Obi are scoring really, really well, then it might change some things a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're going to get close to a double-double from Ratai. It was encouraging that he scored a little bit better against Indiana. Very sloppy with the basketball. He's going to be an initiator of our offense in a lot of half-court sets. He's got to clean up the turnovers. But I like Ratai. I like the pace he plays with. He's, I think he's going to be very valuable just as an all-around player. Obi, the issue is if he's not scoring, he doesn't give you a lot of defense. So you got to get scoring from him. He's got to be a 3-point marksman. He's got to be putting pressure on the defense at the rim. He's got to be getting those late in the shot clock. Pull-ups, which he's really good at. I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't looked better in these two exhibition games. I think Washington will be a key game, just to kind of know more of what we got. He'll be at home. But we got to get his confidence up because he's the guy we're relying on. We brought him in to be the dude.
He can't split minutes with Isaac Williams.
No,
they can't be splitting evenly minutes. That's just absurd. And that's what happened against Indiana. And then on the other side,
I'm high on Isaac. I mean, but yeah, I mean, the shooting is going to be a limitation. He's going to be a little sloppy with the turnovers. Good defender. I mean, I love his defense. But
he's going to be really good. You can see it coming. Right. It's just right now. You really need Obi to be a lot better, and you really need Obi to not be playing the way that he did. And then on the other end, the best guard on Indiana's team, Wilkerson, going for like 30 points. It's like Baylor can't have that. They're not going to be able to survive that with him shooting the way he's shooting, and then Obi just giving you kind of nothing on the game. That can't happen very often if Baylor wants to be good this year. There's too many good guards in this Big 12 for that to be happening consistently.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's just look at kind of this schedule that they got laid out. I know they got a lot of, kind of fluff games like every year. So the ones that I wrote down, you can add any if you have some additional ones, but the ones that I wrote down, the non-conference: Washington, number 23, Creighton, number 5, St. John's, at Memphis, and Louisville as the big non-conference games. Are there any other ones you'd add to that?
Well, there's going to be a third game in Vegas. We don't know. Or maybe I think even possibly a fourth game, depending on how they play. But so you'll get another high-level team in Vegas, in addition to those that you mentioned. But you've hit on the highlights. I don't think anyone else is expected to be great. Southern's actually, I think, expected to win the SWAC. Let me look at that.
Which gets you like a 16 or a 15 seed most years?
Yeah. I mean, that'll put them like around, Ken Palm's got them 165 preseason, so it's not a team to sleep on.
Yeah.
But to your point, this program should be at a level where they can take care of business in Foster Pavilion against teams like that.
Absolutely. So just a few notes on that. Washington projected to be like the 10th best team in the Big Ten, so should not be very good. But you seem a little, you think Washington's going to be good this year?
I think they're going to be a surprising team.
Okay.
I'm really high on Wesley Yates.
Mm-hmm.
There's another player.
Baylor recruited him in the past.
Yeah, he's good. Looking at who else they have here. Yeah, they got Desmond Claude is a player as well, and then Zoom Diallo. Those are their three dudes. Desmond Claude came from USC as well. So I think that they're going to be better than people think, and maybe a little underrated in the preseason Big Ten poll.
Wow.
I'm concerned about that game. I think we got to play well to beat them. I think they're going to be a very athletic team with really good guards. That's going to be a test for us.
Okay, so if you're concerned about that, then I know some people, I think the Ion College Basketball Podcast, I think one of their guys has St. John's as like the number 1 team in the country, I think, this year, number 2, somewhere in that range. And they're number 5 in the preseason poll. So that's obviously going to be a huge challenge. And they're looking for redemption after Jeremy Roach put a buzzer beater on them last year. Memphis is really good. Did a little bit of research on them. They're still going to be pretty stout, one of the better mid-major teams. Then Louisville lost to Kansas. Kansas gave it to them pretty good. But Louisville still, they were a lot better last year. Yeah, a lot of talent. That's going to be a tough game. Obviously, Creighton's going to be a tough game. Yes. I think if we go 3-2 on those 5 that you mentioned, I'll be very happy with that outcome. Even if you had that extra game in Vegas, if we went 3-3, I think that would be a good outcome for us. I'm expecting, I'd love to win them all, obviously, but those are going to be tough games against really good opponents. And St. John's obviously is going to be the one that's probably most likely a loss. Yeah. And then obviously, road games are always tough. Memphis will be a tough one. So we'll see how we play. But I think that I love Scott Drew's scheduling philosophy, and this is another tough year. In addition to the Big 12, you don't have 20 conference games like you did last year, but you still got 18. So it's going to be a war most nights. Yeah, and the ones I wrote down in the Big 12 play, they get Iowa State and Houston twice, which are 2 teams that, Houston's going to be really, really good. We'll get to them in a sec when we do our Big 12 tiers. And Iowa State, I think Iowa State's probably going to be in that probably second tier in the Big 12. They're going to be really good again, and Baylor's got to face them twice. You get TCU twice. TCU's going to probably be, I would think, kind of in the probably lower to middle half of the Big 12 would be my guess. I don't really love their roster. Time to sweep them. We got to sweep them. And then at Kansas, and then Tech and Zona at home, which those 2 are going to be very important for Baylor to try to win those games at home. I think this is the type of team, when Virginia had it rolling, they were hell to beat at home. Yeah, they were. When you play good defense and you rebound well, it is really tough to beat you
on the road. And, I'm hopeful that that's what we have this year, because nothing endears the fans like winning games at home. Like you expect to go on the road and lose some games. You just want a team that is going to be miserable to play at your place. And I would love to see maybe Baylor just dropping one game at home. I'd love to, obviously undefeated would be amazing, but I'm ready for us to never lose to a team like TCU. And that comes with defensive consistency. So if you're consistent defensively, I mean, there may be a team that's just like a Houston or an Arizona or a Texas Tech that just plays out of their minds and beats you. I mean, shoot, Houston was amazing last year and they lost to Texas Tech at home.
Yeah.
But I just think, you just want to take care of home court. And I think better defense allows you to do that. So that's my hope, is that we are really, really tough to beat in Foster.
That would be a nice hope, for sure. I'm looking at this track record here, and I know we've talked a lot about this. So the last 4 years, Ashley, it's a second round exit in which you're upset, another second round upset, another second round upset, and then of course last year they lost to Duke, which no shame in losing to Duke, but you put yourself in a position where you were a lower seed, and then therefore you play Duke. Do you think this team's going to be better than that? Is this the kind of team that can push to a Sweet 16? Where do you think they need to be seeded to kind of give themselves the best chance at that?
Well, yeah, you want to be a 5 seed or higher to feel decent about your chances to get into a Sweet 16. Obviously we've had teams that do it against us, be a 6 seed and get to Sweet 16
twice.
But it's harder to do it in that path. I mean, you got a harder first round game, and then obviously beating a 3 seed is not easy either. So I think you want to be a top 5 seed. If you win your home games, you give yourself a really good chance to do that. If you go 3-3 in those 6 games I've mentioned, and you go 500 on the road, then you're there. You're going to be in that upper echelon of the seeding. So that's the formula. I think that. I mean, I want to say that this team will be a Sweet 16 team, but we'll have to see. I mean, they're going to have to be. Obviously, Obi's going to have to be good. You're going to have to get what you thought you got. We're looking for there, and then Ratai is going to have to be good. I'm confident as long as Carr, Skillings, and Tunde stay healthy, that they're going to be good all year. They're just too athletic, too versatile not to be. I just can't see any of those 3 really going through major slumps. But Obi and Ratai are probably the keys to what our upside is.
Lots of veterans on this team, but a lot of new faces. And I think that's probably makes it one of the toughest teams to evaluate for Baylor. I know the past few years, last year there were high expectations just because everyone thought the roster was going to be better than it was. But even the 2 years before that, it's like, man, they look really good on paper. They look really good in certain matchups. And then it's like when they started playing these bigger physical teams with big guards, it was like, oh no, this whole thing is kind of falling apart here. Matchups are being attacked. At least when I look at this team, I don't feel like they're going to be attacked as mercilessly at one position. Even Obi, who maybe isn't a great defender, he's bigger at least and longer. And so you're hoping that at least you're not going to be able to see these pick and rolls where it's just, okay, the other team's going to score like 8 times on the pick and roll every single night. I think they'll be able to avoid some of that. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Bodo, any chance that they're going to get much from him this year, or has that ship kind of sailed?
Well, we haven't gotten official word, but what I'm hearing consistently is that they're probably going to redshirt him.
Dang.
So he's just not healed properly. And if you're waiting until January to try to insert him, an injured player, into the rotation, that's a tough ask. I mean, he's practicing, but he's limited. And I just think they're going to probably look at trying to get him healthy for next year and turn his deal into a 2-year deal. So which means one of 2 things. I just wrote about this in the big man preview with Levi. You're going to either need to get some significant minutes from Mayo Soyoye, or you're going to have to get a big. You're going to have to just make do until you get to the Christmas break and get a big to transfer. I know they got some guys targeted. We've got a place. We got a spot available, and then you're just hoping that you can get that big really ready to play. Some backup minutes, or at least give you something during Big 12 play. So it's that's probably the answer this year. I think you're going to see a lot of Ratai at the 5, which is fine because I think the strength of our team is playing Ratai, Carr, Skillings, and Tunde together a lot of minutes. They're very versatile defensively. They're skilled offensively.
Athletic.
Ratai is going to be a nightmare for big guys. Like, he can take guys outside. He can take them off the dribble. I think that's potentially a mismatch for us to exploit. Hopefully we won't get exploited too bad on the other end of the floor. And then, either Isaac or JJ or Obi at the guard position. But I think you'll see, obviously, you're not going to see those 4 on the court all the time together. You'll mix Caden Powell in there and some other guys. But yeah, I think that's our strength, and I think we're just going to have to play to that strength.
Okay, so as far as the Big 12 goes, let's dive into the Big 12 a little bit, just to give people an idea of kind of where we have Baylor and where we have some of these other teams expectations-wise. So, Ashley, why don't you give me your tier 1 of Big 12 teams initially?
Well, I think Houston's in a probably a category by themselves.
Same. That's what I've written down.
As tier 1. And I would actually put 7 teams in tier 2. I would say Texas Tech, Iowa State, Arizona, Baylor, BYU, and Cincinnati and Kansas. Not necessarily in that order, but I think Cincinnati spent a lot of money on their roster. They got a coach on the hot seat. I think they're going to be good defensively. I don't know how good they'll be offensively. Wes Miller's teams have never been that good offensively, but I think defensively they're going to be really good. And then I would say,
well, hold on right there, Ashley. Let's talk tier 2. So I'm close to what you have.
Okay.
I have it Kansas, Arizona, Texas Tech, BYU, Iowa State in tier 2, and then I have Baylor in tier 3 by themselves. I don't have anyone else in tier 3 with them, and that means
against Ken Palm. You're going against Ken Palm at your peril.
I'm lower on Cincinnati by a little bit. They're in the next tier, but I'm a little lower on them. I have Baylor kind of right in the tier by themselves. I think the problem with me with putting Baylor in tier 2 is that out of all these teams, I feel like they have the most question marks and the most what are they going to get every night at the guard position, which is super important in this league when you're seeing like these other teams have legit like all-American guards. And so it just makes me a little concerned there. So I do have them in tier 3 by themselves because I do feel like, again, Scott Drew culture, what they're trying to turn into, the athleticism, the length, it definitely could translate. I just have a few more questions about them than that other group that's in tier 2 for me.
That's fair. Yeah.
Tier 4, Ashley, or I guess would this be tier 3 still for you?
Yeah, I would say tier 3 would be Kansas State, West Virginia. I think is going to surprise some people.
Okay.
I think their coach is so good on the defensive end. I think they got some shooters as well, and I might put them by themselves in tier 3. Oklahoma State looked good against Auburn. In that exhibition game, but I'm not a believer in them.
Okay. That's kind of
tier 3 for those two. Yeah.
That's pretty close to me. So obviously tier 3, I got Baylor. Tier 4, I have Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, Kansas State. And so my reasoning here is Oklahoma State and Kansas State have 2 guys. Like they each have a guy who is just like, well, he could like a legit, if they're inside the top 5 in the Big 12, would probably be a first team all Big 12 type player. And so the question is, did they build enough around those guys?
Right.
We'll see on that, but I'm a believer there. Cincinnati, like you said, defense, they spent a lot. I do think that they have the opportunity to move up a tier. That's what I kind of feel with these 3 teams. It's like these are the last 3 teams that I feel like could legitimately finish inside the top 5 in the Big 12 this year. And that's why I have them separate a little bit and a little bit lower on West Virginia, I guess. They're in the next tier, though.
Yeah. They were high on Jalen Celestine for sure. But
Oh,
we'll see if
okay.
that works out for them.
Yeah, we didn't see great things there
Yeah.
at all. My tier 5's TCU and West Virginia, kind of by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Do you have any other teams kind of in that range?
Well, I would, so I would put TCU in the TCU, UCF,
Oh,
Oklahoma State, Utah, Arizona State, Colorado range. I just don't know how any of those teams will fare. Ken Palm has them all 6-12 to 7-11 in
mm-hmm.
the Big 12. So I think that's just fair to kind of lump them all in together. I could see things going really badly for Arizona State. They got a coach on the hot seat. Their Utah is a huge question mark. I don't know what their talent level is. We'll see. Colorado is kind of looks like they're
Really bad.
Yeah, their coach as well, probably on borrowed time. They're probably going to make a change at some point. So those three I'd probably put at the bottom, but I just kind of lump them in with all those other teams.
Yeah, my tier 6 down there, and these are the teams I don't see making the tournament. I think they're going to be all four pretty bad. Is Arizona State, Utah, UCF, Colorado. I think those four clear bottom. I think in that tier 5, that TCU, West Virginia, I'm kind of thinking maybe one of them can sneak into the tournament, and then the other one's not going to make the tournament. That's kind of where you're sitting. And then probably one of those tier 4 teams is going to fall off a cliff and not make the tournament or something along those lines. But it's an interesting year in the Big 12, and I think it's one of those years where I think you have a clear front runner and a team that's done it, and so everyone's going to probably pick them to win the Big 12. And then a lot of teams that's just like, man, is this going to all come together for them? They spent a lot of money. Is this going to work out? They got returning players. Are they going to be as good as they were a year ago? I think a lot of those questions definitely reside in the Big 12 this season, but it's a tough league once again.
And listen, man, I've seen enough to know the Ken Palm algorithm is real, and I think there's a lot to be said for it. I mean, he had Baylor, I think, a top 10 team last year preseason, so that didn't work out. But I mean, he's got Baylor number 17, and he's got them 15th on offense and 20th on defense. I think that's the death taxes. Top 25 offenses for Scott Drew, but also death taxes, top 25 defenses for Ron Sanchez.
Yeah.
If you can get top 25 in both of those areas, then of course you're going to be one of the best teams in the country. So that's the hope. That's obviously what the algorithm's telling you is going to happen, but whether it happens or not, you got to put production on the court. And he's probably factoring in Bodo playing in those preseason, calculations.
Yeah.
But he has Baylor ahead of BYU, which is interesting because we know BYU spent a lot more money on their roster than Baylor did.
They did. They have some concerns on defense for sure. Their offense is going to be really good.
Sure.
Really fun to watch. But
sure.
Defensively, I'm hearing these things, and it's kind of funny about like AJ DeBansa just being this lockdown defender. I've read some stuff on that, and I'm like, are we sure? Because every time I see these freshmen who I think are going to be good on defense, it's also like they take their lumps, and they almost all do. You have exceptions like Cooper Flagg, who just his rim protection made it to where he wasn't going to get exploited, and Con Knipple. And Con Knipple being a part of just a system and being big enough made him not get exploited as badly. But in general, like these guys usually have a tough time, especially early on.
Yeah.
So
I think Tuna is going to be good on defense, but critical play against Indiana.
Got blown by.
He got blown by, and then he goes for the pump fake, and that was a crucial situation there.
And that was the Smith foul too, right?
Oh, was it? Yeah.
I mean,
nobody fouled out. I mean, if guys had fouled out, then we would have gotten Wilkerson out of there.
Yeah.
Many minutes before the end of the game.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. All right, Ashley, I wanted to ask you, as far as that kind of top group of teams, who are you most kind of who do you think could fall off a cliff and not actually be as good as everyone thinks, and who do you think could challenge Houston for the Big 12 title? So basically, who's your second favorite team in the Big 12, and then who's a team that you're kind of, I don't know if that's really going to work for them this year?
I think Arizona's the second best team.
Okay.
I'm not buying the Texas Tech hype.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have the depth even that they had last year. Obviously, JT Toppin's terrific and their point guard's terrific. I think that Kansas could certainly be up there. I expect a big rebound year for Kansas. Yeah. I think people are sleeping on them for sure. Tremendous coaching. As much as I love to rag on Bill Self,
Peterson is really good. He can really
Peterson's
shoot
good. They got length. They got size.
Yeah.
They gave Louisville fits. That was a true road game environment for them too. So, I mean, exhibition games you can't place too much emphasis on them, but it's a data point, you know.
Yeah.
Who did Houston? Houston got beat by like 13 points by somebody in an
exhibition game. But they weren't. Didn't they not play everybody, or wasn't
did they not play some of their better?
I want to say that there was something like that. But yeah, I think in general, I think we know what we're getting from Houston. Like they return so much that it's like they're just going to run it back a little bit. I do think there's some concerns that when I look a little deeper, like Tech, they're getting a lot of love, like a whole lot of top 3 in the Big 12 love, and I don't know that I see that. I don't know that I see the roster to where it's like a surefire top 3 type thing. I think Arizona's really well coached, so I kind of believe in that. They got really good length. They're going to play good defense. They're a good team for sure. It'll be interesting. I do think one thing that I like about this Baylor team, I think for the most part, they're going to be very likable and very fun to watch. They're going to play really hard. I think it's going to be just a complete pivot from what we've seen the last 3 years, really. And that's kind of nice. I mean, it's nice, right?
Oh, you just want guys that give it their all, love Baylor. Norchad Amir came back recently and told some of the coaches, man, I wish I could have played on this team. Like he said, the chemistry and the camaraderie and the communications, night and day, what he experienced last year. Not that those were bad guys last year, but just something was off. It was too much meism, not enough grit. This year, they're connected. Even that scrimmage against Indiana, you could just see it. I mean, the communication, the body language, everything was just so positive. I think this team is more like that national championship team in that regard. Not as talented. The guards certainly aren't as good.
Yeah.
But I love the chemistry, the camaraderie, and you can root for teams like that. Just play hard, make it hell to win at Foster. That's what fans want. And if you give them that, the fans are going to have your back all year long. No question about it.
Absolutely. Well, Ashley and I will probably be back at some point, maybe next week, maybe the week after, so we can talk about, a few games under the Bears belt, but we'll definitely be back soon to talk more Baylor basketball. But thanks everyone for joining today. This has been the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.